What's been the feel after the performance on the weekend? You've obviously reviewed the tape.
Yep.
You're obviously still pretty proud of the performance. Unfortunately, no win, but happy with how they portrayed themselves out on the ground.
Oh, always proud of the boys, the way they go about it, yeah. So out of that, we think to win that game, you could say it didn't take a lot to actually win the game. But to guarantee that we're good enough to win, we can improve. We've got to be a better team, use the ball better, make better decisions in the real tough, tight games, and that will give us an even better chance of winning against those top sides.
Notice, obviously, with hopefully the luxury of a few of the better players coming back from injury. I mean, a guy like Andrew Everly said he was pretty confident going back when he did the injury that he'd come straight back in. But someone like him, given if the form stacks up, it's not just a case of straight back into him. Not
necessarily, but every case is taken on its merits. So where the team's at over the next few weeks, who knows? We might be really keen to get him straight back in. The sub rule gives you the opportunity to ease them back in, so we'll weigh that up when that time is right. I couldn't make a call now about how we'll do that at the time.
You start putting together plans for how it might work with all of them coming back just before the final?
Not plans, but we're giving some thought. You know, if they're all available at the same time, how would we do it? But not too much, because so many things can change before then. It can end up being a waste of time.
How far away is Andrew? Is it any chance this week, or is it next week? Or?
What week are we up to this week? Round 14? No, not for a couple of weeks.
And Adam Selwood, sorry about that, doing some handball stuff. His hand seems to be okay. Is he right this week?
Yeah. It wasn't. The infection wasn't his hand. It wasn't that hand injury. That was a different infection, which I don't even know if it was on the same. It was his arm and more his elbow. But yeah, he's got to prove his fitness for this week. But we'll see how he goes.
What's the chance you rate?
He's a chance. He ran pretty well on Friday last week. To say that that he's a chance, but he probably won't go flat out again until Friday this week in terms of getting up to full speed.
That's obviously after you pick the team. So
we'll weigh that up. Yeah, whether we want to take the risk or just give him the extra week. So some of that will depend on how he goes today, on how close he is. If it's really close, we'll see what we decide there. If he's well and truly okay, then I would expect he'd play.
You had a bye recently, but it's still a long year and a long time to go until the end of the season. Do you look to give some guys time off this week, get the team back?
The boys have come off, as you said, a recent rest, so it's not critical at this stage to give anyone a spell.
Murray Newman's name was mentioned by Justin Monmouth on radio. How close is he at the moment?
Yeah, he's very close. We've talked about him a few times this year. And his form stacks up over the last month. It's been very solid. It's as good as anyone in the WAFL. So he certainly deserves to be given consideration.
What position would he play at AFL?
He would play forward in the forward line and possibly with some time through the midfield, similar to what he's been doing at Swan Districts.
Could you approach Gary Ablett, a la Dane Swan? I mean, probably different types of players, but rack them up a bit. Does Scott Selwood automatically get that sort of role?
Not automatically, no. There's a few things to weigh up, but Ablett is, one of the top stars in the game and does have a big influence on his team's performances, so we certainly have to weigh that up.
Maybe you have to sort of budget for him getting 30 times and then try and limit.
30 would be handy.
As a limit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, we don't budget on anything like that. No, we've got roles to play. We'll go out and do our job and see what pans out.
Spoken to Bluey this week or last week?
Last week I caught up with him because he was in Perth early in the week. So I caught up with him briefly last week, but didn't really talk footy. It was more talking farm animals. Kids were catching up.
It looks like he's aged a couple of years just in the last 12 weeks.
You're saying that, not me. I'm not commenting on that, but that's good. It's good you think that. You're getting a bit podgy too, was he? I don't know. Just throw anything out there, but...
Well, you might add something there.
Nah.
It's tough when you're losing though, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got a job to do, and he's building a young team. I don't think he took the job thinking, beautiful, start with a premiership. I think he knew what he was in for, and he's really enjoying moulding the group.
Do you offer him any more advice than you would any other coach, seeing as though you've got a pretty close link?
Not too much, because I think he's got a pretty good handle on what he wants to do. So it's not as though he's desperately seeking advice. But if he was asking about where we were at 3 years ago and how it might compare to his group, I've got ideas on that. But I think he knows all that. Most of the guys do.
So he's never really rung you and had a bit of a chat about being a coach and going through some tough times?
No.
Where do you see their strengths?
Well, we've seen them in games this year, like the Essendon game. They're good enough to push teams. They're good enough to push teams all the way. And there's other days where they'll have a bad quarter or a quarter and a half, maybe a poor half. But we're preparing for them to come out and play top line footy for a full game. So that's what we have to be ready for, because their talent in terms of matching you at any given period of the game is good enough.
You have to mention that you played the best team or one of the better teams, and then you're coming up against a team that hasn't, to your players?
No, we have already discussed that. Straight after the Collingwood game, we talked about the level and the intensity we played at against Carlton, against Collingwood, and that their players' vision is to play like that every week, regardless of what the fixtures say and where the game's fixtured. That's what we're always aiming to do.